Hey, what's up? It's Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching MotoAmerica on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow all of our content.
It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. The round, Geico Motorcycle Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey. Setting the stage for Supersport competition here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. Race number 2 and our final Supersport race of the weekend. Welcome everyone to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time AMA champ Jason Pridmore. Now Jason, this has been a very interesting Supersport season. We have Josh Herrin way out front in the points championship, but the way it's been on the racetrack is it's been really close. It's a new generation of motorcycles that have arrived on the scene, and there's balancing going on and a lot of interesting things, really stuff looking forward to the future.
Yeah, no question. Across the board, World Supersport, R-Class, some of the other domestic series in the world have taken to this new rules package that we have for Supersport. And what it's allowed is more manufacturers to get involved. We see different displacement motorcycles. So there's been some evening out that they're working on right now, as you'd expect in year one of any championship that gets a big mix-up like we have. So Josh Herrin, though, has really come to the top of this class, as you'd expect. I mean, he's kind of the veteran of the class. He won a bunch of races, has a big points lead. But we got this younger generation of riders as well, and they're also trying to develop new bikes. Speaking mostly of Ty Scott, even Sam Lockoff, who isn't with us now. It's just a constant involvement, so we'll see what happens with this.
And you know, with Josh Herrin, you mentioned he's a veteran of the sport, and Ty Scott is the rising star. Yesterday's race was really interesting, especially Wave Gate.
Yeah, and you can see here, this is just an experience. Ty Scott got the lead, but let off a little bit early when they came down. You can see him, Josh Herrin looked over his shoulder. Ty gave him a little wave. Nothing really big there. Herrin let him lead for a half a lap before Ty Scott didn't really make a mistake. He went through turn 11, had a back marker, and this is what allowed Herrin to go back through. You can see the Ducati went back by the GS6R up the front. But at the end of the day, it was Herrin winning again on that beautifully paint-schemed motorcycle with that new Medallia sponsorship here. Herrin's got his Kenny Roberts helmet on, and you can get a look at some of the numbers.
So looking at Ty Scott, the rising star, just wanted to give you an idea of what it's been like for him so far this season on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team. And Jason, it's been consistency on one hand, obviously a race win at Road America, but it's really finding that podium consistency that we're looking for this unbelievably fast young man.
No question. And remember, there was a couple of little incidents. He had one in the first race at Road Atlanta. He had one in the second race at Road America. So there's been a couple of no-point finishes for him, and that's really what has cost him. Otherwise, he's been up at the front at just about every track we've gone to and been on the podium a bunch.
And it's really, for Ty Scott, all a learning year, which is really kind of interesting because we've really piled on an expectation of Ty Scott because of his performance in the SportBikeTrackHere.com Junior Cup last year.
Yeah, no question. And the other thing about that is even this morning, you can tell that the team made some changes. I was busy watching the screens right off the bat, and he went into the 26s immediately this morning in that warm-up session that we had. So did they make the changes that are going to be necessary to make the young man a little bit more comfortable? We saw some things yesterday. He talked about grip. He talked about overriding the bike a little bit into corners. From my perspective, it just looked like he didn't have a motorcycle underneath him going into the turns that was allowing him to let go of the lever to carry that speed that Herrin's capable of doing right now. So we'll see what the team did in about 10 minutes.
Let's take a look at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Jason, because this racetrack is obviously world-renowned. There's been MotoGP here, World Superbike here, MotoAmerica here, and it's an awesome racetrack.
Yeah, there's not a time of the year where my phone doesn't blow up more from my friends in Europe talking about Laguna Seca. Turn 1, renowned, wide open up over the top into turn 2. 2 flat corners in 3 and 4. By the time you get to 6, you're heading up to that famous place, Corkscrew, Greg. Down into Rainy Corner, turn 9. Some of my favorite places that we go, turn 9, turn 10, and then the hard-braking turn 11, where we saw some action yesterday, obviously before that run up the front straightaway. But Laguna Seca has stood the test of time. It's a great place to come, and it's an even better spectator track.
It certainly is. So, Mike's on grid. We're going to step away. When we come back, we're going to be close to race start for Supersport. Kevin Olmedo has been on fire as of late. We'll see what he's able to do with his Yamaha R6 when we return.
Crowd getting ready, grid starting to clear. We're getting ready to go racing here. And you take a look, Ty Scott is going to start on pole again. Herron second, Benjamin Smith, who's been quietly very quick. In third, Rocco Landers, Kevin Olmedo, Corey Ventura, Luke Power even was showing some really good pace. With the exception of Josh Herron and his pace, this front group is really, really close in terms of speed. And if anybody can get in front of Josh and stay there, you think there's a chance that there's a real pack opportunity here to do some serious stuff and keep Herron in check?
Well, I think it's definitely an opportunity. The top 5 guys yesterday's best lap of the race was within 0.2 of each other. If they can just find that consistency, I think that's what Josh, with his experience, brings to this class. Racing somebody like Tyler Scott, who's just 16. Josh is going to have a little bit more experience than him and putting those consistent laps in. So if those guys can find that consistency and early too, Josh is able to kind of find those lap times early. And Tyler rode a great race yesterday. The lappers definitely didn't play into his favor, and that's racing. Sometimes they help you, sometimes they hurt you. And today looks like he had a couple issues yesterday too with the bike, and it's going to be interesting to see.
All right, we're going to rush down to Michael. Got some late breaking news apparently. Michael, what's up?
Yeah, so the riders are coming out onto the grid. As you can see, it's a quick restart procedure. There are 3 or 4 riders at the end of the pit lane. I didn't catch one of the riders as they went past, but 54 and 55 are definitely at the end of the pit lane. So they are going to have to start from the back of the grid. Back to you guys.
All right, yeah, 3 of them sitting there that we couldn't quite pick the numbers out, but really good point that they are now at the very back of the queue here, and that's just a miscue, obviously, in terms of communication, Roger.
Yeah, you got a certain amount of time that you have to, leave pit lane, and obviously, maybe they had an issue, but they didn't. 2 of the bikes look the same, so I don't know if it's a teammates there or we had a team issue. And we see Rocco Landers here, and let's see what he can do. We know he's working on those first couple laps, and if he can figure that out, I think that's what we're all waiting on. If Rocco can just get some really good first 3 or 4 laps in. He got on the podium yesterday, fast late, just losing too much early, and I know he's working hard on it.
That's his MO, lately, hasn't it been, to be really quick late in the races, but you got to be able to find that speed early to run with this group.
Yeah, you just can't spot a guy like Josh Herron and Tyler Scott 3 or 4 seconds early in the race.
All right, well, they are queuing up. We are getting ready to go racing, and everybody locked in, set to go here. And with that, let's get it back over to Greg White and Jason Pridmore for the call of Supersport Race 2 here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey, and here's a look at the championship point standings. We were kind of talking about it earlier, but it's 76 points between Herron and Scott right now, Jason. That's 3 races, meaning it's 25 points for a win. So Herron could miss 3 races, Ty Scott could win them all, and Herron would still be leading by a point.
Yep, he can go on vacation during Brainerd weekend and still come back leading the points, can't he? So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Landers. Almeida was running up there yesterday. He got passed in traffic. When they caught traffic, Rocco was able to make that pass. But Kevin's looked awful fast, and we'll see if he can go. And I just wish we could get Rocco going a little bit quicker, because I think he's got
right at the beginning.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the race.
Of this thing. So we'll see how that goes. Ty Scott on pole, Herron second, Benjamin Smith along with Landers, Almeida, and Corey Ventura. Just outside, Corey Ventura taking Sam Blockoff's spot. Luke Power, Diego Perez, Nassani, Soltis, Thermiotis, and LaRoche back there on row 4. A little further back, Chad Lewin, Kolstedt, Reverosa, Zaragoza's Sahars Vic, Harm Jansen there, Tropkov. Good to see Patrick Coleman up. Saw him in that incident the other day with Herron, Madar, Erstein, Joel Orman, and Mallory Dobbs. Sarbora, Munoz, and Michael Kim round out the field.
All right, so let's get to the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa. Hannah, how's it going today?
Well, guys, at the start of the show, you mentioned the waving that took place in yesterday's race. I asked Tyler, why'd you do that? He said, Josh looked back a few times. I wanted to let him know I was still there. I talked to Josh. He said, maybe today I'll let him lead and put the pressure on him instead.
There you go, a little gamesmanship going on, and you love to see it between the veteran rider and the 16-year-old. And Josh Herrin knows the speed that Tyler Scott is capable of, and they work on that motorcycle to make sure that it's raceable. Here we go. In this race, 19 laps scheduled. Supersport race number 2, and the lights go out. Here we go. Herrin, a little bit of a bog off the start, not quite the launch, but Ty Scott gets a great one.
And let's see if he rolls down into turn 2 a little bit quicker and doesn't allow Herrin to go up underneath him right off the bat. Nope, Herrin's going to do it anyways. Ty Scott thought about it,
up.
gets stood up. And how about Corey Ventura? Great start for Corey Ventura. Like I said, taking the place of Sam Lockoff. Ventura with a win already this weekend in our Twins Cup class. He's going to jump himself up into third. Rocco Landers with a great start as well, with Benjamin Smith right behind him.
So you have Josh Herrin on that Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale V2 being chased down by a pair of Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki GSXR 750s. Tyler Scott trying to make a bid early in this race. Not going to happen.
And this is great for Corey Ventura. He's coming off a big day yesterday, getting that first victory out of the way in the Twins Cup class. This is a young man from up here in Northern California that's been on the podium twice as Ty Scott goes up underneath Herrin into turn 6. And look at now what's going to happen. Corey Ventura wants to have a look at Herrin as they go up into the corkscrew.
And Jay, the thing is as Hannah said, if Josh Herrin wants him to lead, which he doesn't through the corkscrew, he takes the lead back. You have Corey Ventura all of a sudden who's super fast. So if Herrin's saying, oh yeah, I'm going to give Ty Scott a little bit of a lead and see what happens, he's got to understand there's a whole bunch of riders that have upped their pace, including Rocco Landers, who's in 4th, who's having a much better start to the race.
This is the tightest we've seen a first lap all year long, I think. And you can see Almeida trying to go up underneath Benjamin Smith. He gets chopped off.
Ooh.
Luke Power is in that group, as well as Diego Perez. I see him. Nassani there too. So now up the front straightaway, Ty Scott looked like he was going to take a bid for the lead as they went up over turn 1. He makes that pass, but look at Herrin square him right back up and comes up underneath. This might open up a door for Corey Ventura to slide into second place, which he's going to do. Corey Ventura on the 24 sees himself now in second, and with each lap that Corey gets running this pace, his confidence is going to increase.
Keep in mind, Corey Ventura showed up here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca last year for MotoAmerica Supersport competition and had 2 podium finishes.
Did you see the mid-corner speed of Corey Ventura through turn 4? That was really fast. And if he goes past Herrin, Herrin's going to be wondering who that is. He probably thinks it's going to be Ty Scott right behind him, but it's not going to be. It's going to be Corey Ventura. If he can run through here, let's see if he can get up alongside Herrin as they go up this big steep hill on the climb up to the corkscrew.
Look at Corey Ventura go. He's trying to go up the inside. Herrin pinches him off heading into the corkscrew. But no, Ventura just lets off the lever, and he tries to get it through the corkscrew. Oh. It's a mistake, and rider down in the back. It looks like Luke Power on his GSXR 750. Unfortunately for the Australian, on the 3D Motorsports GSXR 750, he's out. And of course, with that mistake, Ty Scott gets around his teammate as Herrin goes for a tear-off on his Arai helmet.
Yep. Look at Rocco Landers. Rocco Landers, this is great to see from him on that R6. Rocco slides himself up underneath Corey Ventura. Corey Ventura probably squared him back up. You can see Ventura got in there a little bit deep, but Luke Power got in there a little deeper, lost the front at the top of the corkscrew.
Is that Almeida who was able to avoid that?
Yeah, and that's gonna make it a little bit more hard work now for Almeida. Also, Benjamin Smith, really neat to see him up in that group also. So Corey Ventura got beat up a little bit from that mistake up in the corkscrew. He's gone back to 4th now as Rocco Landers has taken over 3rd.
So now starting to settle out front. Ty Scott with the fastest lap of the race. After we do 1 flying lap, a 27.823. And it looked like Scott was trying to make a bid for the lead. And out front, you could see that Scott had passed. And that, of course, messed them up a little bit. So all of a sudden the gap is closed because I could see that Herrin and Scott had messed each other. Oh, and a huge mistake from Scott. He gets in there turn 6. And it threw the motorcycle sideways.
And look at what it did for Rocco Landers. Rocco Landers extremely good on the brakes as he gets up into the top of the corkscrew. And how about Benjamin Smith slots himself into 3rd. So all of a sudden the Vision Wheel M4 bikes have gone back to 4th and 5th. Rocco Landers is taken up to the fight now. This is the best we have seen Rocco at the beginning of the race. And this, Greg, has to give him a ton of confidence seeing the number 2 of Herrin not just disappearing into the distance. The 97 is there, and we know how strong he's been at the end of these races. Almeida is back in the mix.
Yeah, and these lap times aren't slow by any stretch of the imagination at a 27.8 by Scott. But here we go, the third lap, and so many things have happened. And how about Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing's Benjamin Smith on the 88, putting himself right there. Left part of your screen replay. Watch Scott go into this corner, Jay.
Man, I didn't see it, but it's that big dip again in the middle of turn 6, Greg. It can just get the bike moving around. As you see Herron look back after that, he could see a big group of riders just behind him. So now we've got 2 R6s in second and third with a Ducati out front. Then we have 2 M4, well, we got an M4 Suzuki there in fourth, and you can see Corey Ventura and Almeida have just been dropped ever so slightly. So let's see if those guys can get back up into the mix with these front 4.
So here we go, the run up the hill. This is where Herron's been really strong. Coming through turn number 6. That next generation V2 has some good acceleration on the Yamaha R6.
Man, Rocco and Benjamin are fast through the middle of that turn 6. You can see how well they closed up a little bit as they came up that hill, and now they're headed down into Rainy Corner.
Well, Jay, you know, talking about the balance of these motorcycles, where the R6 is just carving the corners here at Laguna Seca. I mean, that's their biggest strength is carrying corner speed, and it's been in the sectors where you don't have those runs up the hill. They've been setting fastest sector times. And now Rocco Landers going for the lead around Josh Herron. Hey, surprise, here comes Rocco. So all of a sudden the Yamaha R6 goes to the lead for the moment, and Herron's got to just roll right by him.
And how many times over the years have we seen that pass made and only to be getting squared back up by Herron? He does a nice job there of squaring up that R6 of Rocco Landers, but Rocco is there. And even impressive, this man here, I love seeing Benjamin Smith up front. We know he's got talent, Greg. It's just a matter of finding that setup, getting him comfortable at the start of the weekend. But it's good to see the 88 up there in this battle, and you can see Ty Scott's going nowhere, G-Dub. He is going to sit on the back of these guys. Look, we've still got 15 laps to go. We've had so much action already, but 15 laps still to play out. Ty Scott's going to watch what happens here, as nobody seems to really be able to get away. We're looking at 27.6, so the lap times still aren't as fast as we have seen, are they?
Not quite as fast, but it was so hectic these first few laps of this race. You've got to just kind of let it settle down right now, and now you're going to start seeing some gaps form as riders stop messing about and they're able to do these lap times. For Josh Herron, he's able to answer the call. He's kind of playing a little bit of cat and mouse. I think just benchmarking how fast he can go, how fast he needs to go in this race, especially after Rocco Landers threw that shot on him. So you can see Herron trying to eke a little bit of a gap out here in Supersport.
I really like how that bike's looking down through the main downhills here. Turns Rainy Corner in turn 10. R6 looks really good there, and we'll see. Get a look at a couple of even look at some top speeds here, Greg. That's 138 for all 3 bikes. Ben Smith's at 139. Corey Ventura 138. So just having a look and see what's.
Yeah, on our timing and scoring screens, we can see Tyler Scott there. But last time by the stripe, he didn't register, Jay.
It literally
and so
just
for us, yeah, Corey Ventura is actually in 5th place.
Yes.
On the 24.
Nice. Almeida's got by Corey Ventura, maybe down there into turn 2, as you can see on our timing scoring here, that Ventura was leading. But yeah, we've lost Ty Scott just on the timing screen, but he is still solidly there in 4th.
So
Kevin letting them go away.
Kevin Almeida back there in the N2 Racing bobblehead moto, going up against that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki GSXR 750.
Oh, Benjamin Smith, really good run up out of turn 6. Is he going to make this pass on Rocco? I don't think Rocco's going to let him do it. They're going to lean on each other. Now, this is the only dangerous part. Got to be careful. You don't want to create those gaps too much. And you can see Benjamin just had a really good run out of 6 and ran up the outside of Rocco Landers as they went into the corkscrew. Rocco did a nice job of fighting back, but you start creating a couple of these little gaps, it becomes a problem. 27.2 last time by, as Ty Scott shows back up on our timing screen. That is going to be the fastest lap of the race. And those are more of what we kind of expect to see. High 26s even in this race yesterday for the leaders. That time through 27.7 again for Josh Herron out front. So the pace is definitely a little bit different than it was yesterday. And you can see how tight it got between Landers and Smith at the top of the corkscrew.
Yeah, and that's one of those instances where you're thinking to yourself, all right, guys, you know, you can't give this to Josh Herron. But Rocco's having a great run right now, Hannah.
He is, Greg, and as you mentioned, you know, as the riders settle into their pace, gaps start to form, and Rocco really wanted to be in front of that gap with the lead pack today. We talked to him yesterday about it on the podium, and again this morning he told me he really wants to focus on the beginning half of the race so that he doesn't have to push so hard to catch back up at the end on used tires.
Yeah, and obviously that strategy that Rocco thinks is going to play out made a lot of sense, but it's that messing about with the 88 at the top of the corkscrew that's created this gap, and no one has shown enough speed where they can take chunks out of Josh Herrin's lead, and so it's really played into his hands.
Well, this is what happens when you put constant pressure on the field by running these laps out in front. And Herrin has wanted to lead all the way, pretty much exactly the opposite of what he told Hannah maybe. He wants to lead this race, and he's doing just that right now. But again, like you say, Greg, the pace is a little bit off. Landers and Smith and even Ty Scott got to not try to get in each other's way too much in order to try to close this gap back down. And for Rocco, this is the closest we've seen him all year long, I think. I know there was a couple races where he hung on there and a little bit at the start, but would fall back and then claw his way forward again. But this one here, all the first four have gone 27.6, 27.4, 27.5, so they're all in that minute 27 bracket.
Although Ty Scott's starting to lose a little bit of touch on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. You can see now these two Yamahas. Landers Racing, Rocco Landers. He's the 97 on that beautiful yellow and blue R6. And then right behind him is the 88 of Benjamin Smith. Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing. He's been fast, has Benjamin Smith.
It's the best I've seen him look too, Greg. The bike looks planted. He looks good on the motorcycle. And, you know, for Benjamin right now, he's got a lot of pace through this particular part of the track, which is really a good spot to be. Turn 6, you can see he gets a run on Rocco out of here, and he might put himself on the left-hand side of Rocco one time coming up into the corkscrew. Not this lap, but you can tell he's got a good pace through there. Looked like Herrin might have been a tiny bit wide there at the top of the corkscrew.
So we have about 11 laps and a couple corners to go in Supersport race number 2. Josh Herrin leads the way. Rocco Landers in second with Benjamin Smith. It doesn't feel like, looking at on the racetrack, Jason, that Josh Herrin is able to make any gap. As a matter of fact, for a moment there before that spin onto the front straightaway, Rocco was making up a bunch of time.
I agree with you 100%. I was just getting ready to say that on our boards last time through it was 0.6, and Ty Scott now going to take a shot at Benjamin Smith and try to go up underneath him, and Benjamin's going to just let go of that lever, slam the door on him, and not allow that 750 through. But yeah, Greg, it was definitely closer than 0.6 when they were in 11. But that little mistake, I think, by Rocco out of the last corner has created it to be 0.7 now. And now it appears that Herrin is starting to pull away ever so slightly as we see our first 26 of the race, minute 26 of the race. And that comes from the number 70, Ty Scott.
So Rocco Landers had made some great work off 54 down. That's Jordan Tropkoff. He's down in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be turn 11 there. Good to see him up and okay.
Herrin's starting to break away now. Benjamin Smith sees Herrin going bye-bye. He's got to make a move soon, does Benjamin Smith, because Rocco Landers at the moment doesn't have the pace to close the gap. Can Benjamin Smith get around Rocco Landers? All the while Herrin with this massive points lead and that spectacular looking bodywork in honor of Medallia, one of their team partners whose corporate headquarters are just up the road. Looking good out in the California sunshine is Josh Herrin onto the front straightaway. A little wheel spin for the Ducati V2. Now Landers has found something, Jay. He's starting to pick up the pace, Rocco.
He's trying. 0.9 though, Greg. It's still got a little bit bigger again by 0.2, and you can see Ty Scott's doing everything he can to get by Benjamin Smith, but Benjamin's bike up over the top of turn 1, he's probably got that R6 absolutely matted, and he's got a very good package underneath him to break down into turn number 2 as well as the 88. But Rocco's starting to split those guys a little bit now, isn't he? He's trying to break away from them. 27.5 that last time through from your race leader Rocco Landers, and again these guys are all doing 27s behind him and not able to bridge that gap.
But Jay, the one thing is for Rocco Landers, the greatest thing we've seen from him is what a great start to the race. But sometimes when you have a motorcycle that's set up amazing for the end of the race and you switch it and you get it so it's great at the beginning, the question now is, did they sacrifice pace, speed, tire wear towards the end of the race. And now we're starting to get into that window as we're going to have 9 to go when Josh Herrin comes across the stripe one more time.
Well, I definitely think there's some things to be said for that, because Rocco has basically been stuck on one tire that he likes, and it's been the only tire that he's been able to put underneath him to kind of last the race for him. So whether or not he was able to make a switch today and try something different and try to see the paces, he makes a big mistake, Greg, out of turn 11. Not exactly sure. I don't know if that was a false neutral. It could have been. But Rocco makes a big mistake down in turn 11. That's going to make it easy for Ben Smith and Ty Scott to go through. So now Benjamin Smith's going to take his shot at trying to whittle down this lead. But, Greg, it's continuing to grow. 1.4 seconds now for Herrin. And I believe that these mid-27s are really easy for Herrin to be doing right now. So even if they can catch him, I'm wondering if he will just turn the pace up. He's at that stage now as you see Landers make that mistake in turn 11. When this lead gets out to 1.5, 2 seconds, you can start to kind of read your pit board. And again, here you go, Greg. So it looks like it probably was just a false neutral.
Pass for second place. There goes Tyler Scott on that Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki. And that was the question I had for Benjamin Smith, is when he had clear track in front of him, could he set the pace? Or is he more comfortable right now following another rider? Ty Scott, he's not satisfied, not happy with it, as he's trying to recover from an early race mistake, is the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki rider. So he's going to set sail after Josh Herrin, who, by the way, at a 27.5 set the fastest lap of his race just 1 lap ago, did Herrin. The fastest lap of the race is Ty Scott at a 26.9. The question becomes, can Scott, as the fuel load reduces and the tire wear increases, can he match that pace and start taking chunks of time out of Herrin's lead?
We still have a lot of time left in this race as well, and what I'm more interested in seeing is if that board gets to 1.5 or 2 seconds for Herrin, and then he starts 2.2 seconds this time by. A 27.6 compared to a 27, sorry Greg, the timing's mixing me up here, 1.6 seconds. It did say 2 seconds originally, and it looked like Rocco may be trying to, contact is made between Rocco Landers and Benjamin Smith. Look at his clutch lever guard, you see that? So there was some contact made in the turn 2 area there between them guys, and they have now, doing that, has let these other guys get away.
Yeah, so now Tyler Scott has got some clear track behind him and in front of him. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that gap. So Scott was able to answer Josh Herrin's 27.6 with a 27.5. So only a 1/10 of a second. And then these two messing about. Already lap traffic, Jason, coming up for Josh Herrin in an ideal position for the veteran who's going to be able to carve his way through that lap traffic as we focus on the battle for third.
Probably before that corkscrew, right? I mean, he's going to be able to get by him before the corkscrew, G-Dub, and we're in the battle for third right now. My point I was trying to make earlier, and you're going to see the contact made between Landers and Smith there, the 88 and the 97. If Josh starts to see that time come down, it'll be interesting to see if he's got a little bit extra to push on and get himself back into those high 26s or low 27s like we saw him do yesterday. So far, Herrin's just been able to control the pace.
7 laps to go. When they come across the stripe, it's Herrin leading the way from Ty Scott. This battle for third we're focused on is between Rocco Landers, the 97, and 88, Benjamin Smith. The two of them are already getting together. You can see the left handlebar, that clutch guard sitting straight up in the air. Hannah, what do you have on Ty Scott?
The team didn't make any really changes to the bike from yesterday. He's feeling really comfortable on it, and he said he felt like he did a good job maintaining tire wear to the end of the race. Today, he knows that it'll be predictable and he'll be able to be consistent. He's just hoping to navigate lap traffic toward the end of the race better than yesterday. It definitely didn't work in his favor.
And that one didn't really work in his favor either. It took him a little while to get by that traffic, and the gap has grown to 2 seconds, JP.
Yeah, and it is just going to be just that. There was, when you look at what's going on right now, Ty Scott is definitely pushing, trying to catch back up to the back of Herrin, but Herrin's just doing 27s and he's pulling away right now. And I think that would probably come as a surprise to Herrin when he realizes that the pace that he's doing isn't really anywhere near what they were doing yesterday even. So down through Rainy Corner here for these two guys, and they still have Ty Scott firmly in their sights, don't they?
Yeah, they do. That's exactly what I was looking at, trying to look at these splits and see what kind of times are they doing, because Scott in his Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki GSXR 750, Jason, to me, it looks like it's starting to move around quite a bit underneath him.
Yeah, well, they probably made some changes, and maybe some of it worked, some of it hasn't. You see Benjamin Smith now gets a run on Rocco Landers up over the top of turn 1. Rocco looks like he wants to square him back up, and he does. Going down into turn number 2, and he controls that speed really nicely, does Rocco there.
See that GSXR 750 kind of twitching underneath Scott as he accelerates out of turn number 2. Somebody there with the rev limiter. They're going to get around 54.
Yeah, right now, that was the rider that we saw earlier. Look at this.
Rocco gets hung out to dry.
Gets hung out to dry. The back marker, you know, the hardest part of the blue flag system, which is really the best system I think we have right now, but these guys try to get out of the way. But if there's a group of 2, 3, 4 riders coming up, you know, you got to make a decision pretty quickly as a leader of which way you want to go. And if you pick the wrong direction like Rocco did just there, it's not really Rocco's fault, let's just say. But the back marker's doing his best to get out of the way, and Rocco just was on the wrong side. But Rocco will regroup. We've been able to see him run this pace back down. 27.9 that last time through for the leader, and these guys are all in the 28s now, as well as Almeida. But Almeida's 1.8 behind Benjamin Smith. There's Nale, there he is. There's Almeida in the background there. He might be coming forward.
Yeah, so Almeida with his sights on Rocco Landers. All right, so Josh Aaron is already on the front straightaway. He's come across the line. He goes 127.514, another 27.5 for our race leader, and another personal best lap of the race for Herron. And it's about that consistency. He's just clicking them off, Jason. It's really uncanny. But the gap has grown to 3.7 seconds.
Yeah, no pressure.
Over Ty Scott, and of course he's falling into the clutches of Benjamin Smith, who's only 0.7 of a second behind. But Jay, looking at Josh Aaron, I mean, he looks like he's having a ton of fun. No traction control on this Panigale V2, this next generation motorcycle. So everything that you see, especially late in the race, as the tires wear out, the fuel load drops, and things start to move around, it's all Herron and that natural talent.
Yeah, he's just doing a nice job. And what was it, 70-plus point lead you said at the beginning of the show coming into this thing, and he's just going to continue to pile up wins, pile up those bonuses that he's getting here. And you can see here Ty Scott's bike, see how much that bike's moving around, G-Dub, coming into the corner. So last time through 28.1 for Benjamin Smith. Rocco Landers 28.5. So Benjamin, you see Rocco's got back by Benjamin. If you look just behind Ty Scott here, you're going to see that yellow flash has got back in front of the 88.
Good job by Rocco Landers. He's gathered himself back up, and now he's got his eyes forward for Ty Scott, who's not sitting on a secure second place by any stretch. It's going to be 4 laps to go now, as Herron's already deep into turn number 2 and on his way out. Rocco Landers, blue and yellow bike, that's for 3rd place. Benjamin Smith in 4th.
Almeida's still lapping in the 27s. 27.7 that last time by for the number 16 of Almeida. Corey Ventura still holding down 6 with Insani Thermiotis, Kolstad, and CJ LaRoche rounding out your top 10 at the moment. And you can see these guys are coming up on more traffic, Greg. So it looks almost like Rocco's making another big push, doesn't it, to try to get himself onto the back of Ty Scott. As Herron catches Sabora up in the turn 6 areas. Tyler Scott is going through right now. Also, looked like Munoz.
But Jay, mentally, this is where Rocco Landers is the strongest. It's been this way for Rocco. Stronger at the end of the race as the laps wear down, as the motorcycle starts to move around. Rocco has got it in his brain. I'm better than these riders. I'm faster than these riders. And by closing this gap and dispersing of Benjamin Smith that quickly, confidence is high for Landers.
Absolutely, and this is where we have absolutely seen him shine, Greg, at the end of these races. And the 97 is just closing this gap down big time now over Ty Scott. I would expect that you'd probably see him move from him down into this corner on the next lap. This time by, they're going to have 3 laps to go. And Rocco Landers, I believe, maybe in another lap or so, Greg, could see himself into that 2nd place spot as these riders go up over the top of the hill.
Going down into turn 2, looking at the 2 bikes between that GSXR 750 and that R6. Rocco Landers' bike looks so much better suspension-wise and more controllable as they go into turn number 2 and on the way out. And it just looks like Ty Scott has got a bit more of a handful, although Rocco Landers gets held up slightly mid-corner.
Yep, but now Ty Scott knows he's there. He had to look over his shoulder. And Rocco's really fast going up this hill. So Right now, you're going to be coming out of there, 3rd gear, up to 4th, and probably back a gear here for turn 6. And Rocco gets a good run up out of this turn here and tries to close this gap down by the time they get up to the corkscrew.
Yeah, but when Ty Scott had to look over his shoulder, Rocco was that far back. So it wasn't quite the tail. Ooh, some sparks flying off.
A little bit of sparks, but he's not close enough to do what I thought he might be able to do in turn 11. So he's going to have to save that for another lap. I don't think Rocco will be back on the back of him by the time they get down to turn 11, but I don't think he'll be close enough to make the pass. Just that one little mix up there with the back marker in turn 4. Turn 4 is such a fast corner that if you lose time there, it makes it really hard. And now you see he's on the back of him, isn't he, Greg? So he definitely has the measure of him down into that corner. And we've seen Rocco make some passes down there with 2 laps to go as they go by now.
So the lap before, Rocco was the only rider in the 27s. Herrin did a 28 flat, but goes back now into the 27.9s. Ty Scott goes 27.7. Rocco with a 27.8, partially due to some lap traffic, I think.
Yeah.
And Benjamin Smith, 28.6. So Kevin Olmedo, now right on the back of him, is Olmedo still able to do 27.9. So only 0.2 of a second as Olmedo was able to take a huge chunk of time away from your 4th place rider, the 88. Back there, there's that battle. So Olmedo looking like he's ready to pounce.
He does, Greg. He does exactly that. It looked like he was going up the inside of Benjamin Smith through turn 5. We'll look at him. There you go, Greg. And does Ben Smith have the power to run it back past Kevin Olmedo as they go up to turn 6? He does. He gets down the inside of him as they go in there. Boy,
that's turn 6, man. That's a
pass.
That's a hold your breath kind of pass for sure.
And look, Benjamin Smith right now 6.3 seconds off the leader. It's the closest we've seen him in a long time. And that's where we expect him and Olmedo to both be. Both these guys are going to keep chipping away and try to get closer to that lead time as the season continues to progress. And we're going to have one lap to go. When this guy gets out of this last turn, he's going to see a white flag. He's going to be able to go maybe pass Jorge Erstein on the front straightaway. Goes through.
Yeah, I think Josh knows which way to go.
Look at this battle for second. Rocco may have made a bid there in turn 11. By the way, it looked to me there. Rocco may have made a bid. Is he going to make a chance down into turn 2 now? He's in there deep, isn't he?
It looked like it was almost full send for Rocco Landers, but he maintains it. Ty Scott understands the urgency. You can tell from just the attitude of his body and the way he's throwing that front wheel in the air, that Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki, that Ty Scott understands the urgency here. He wants to hold on to that 2nd place position. And look at Scott. Look at the extra speed down here at the flat part of the track.
Rocco just loses a little bit of time in turn 2, like getting the bike turned back and even into turn 3. And then he has this incredible run of corner speed that he can do going back up this hill. As you can see, we had a crasher in the back, Greg.
Yeah, it looked like it was either going to be Ben Smith.
It's Ben Smith in turn 5 has gone down. Such a bummer, man.
Out of 4th place for the 88. So heartbreak for the Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing team and Ben Smith on our final lap. There's the guy, Josh Herrin, number 2. What can you say about the racecraft of Herrin? So smart, using all of his wits, understanding what was going on. Racecraft behind him. He has a look over his shoulder. He understands what he's been able to do. He's had 3 race wins in a row as Herrin. My guess, launch the front wheel in the air, coming to the checkered flag, will take his 4th race win in a row. And coming to the line, Ty Scott is able to hold off the advancements of Rocco Landers. And it will be Kevin Olmedo who finishes 4th, as now it's time for the celebrations for Josh Herrin and the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team. With Ducati Corsa's main man, Paolo Ciabatti, here to share in the celebrations. Josh Herrin gets it done again. Look at the consistency, jam laps.
Yeah, you can't beat that just doing 27s, and I think that he probably could have dropped it down even further if he'd have needed to. Just didn't need to. The guys behind him were battling pretty hard with each other, creating those small gaps. See Rocco Landers goes through there. And, Corey Ventura, nice work for him, finishing 5th. Even though it's a bummer to see Ben go down there on that last lap. But it worked in Corey Ventura. Thermiotis ends up 6th with Kolstad, LaRoche, Saltese. And we're still waiting for 10th to come across. It says that Ben Smith took the checkered flag in 10th, Greg. So hopefully he was able to get back up and get going again.
Yeah, I hope so. So Josh Herrin, another great victory. and it's done all on consistently fast lap times. When we come back, we're going to talk to the wheelie man about his win.
Seventh in a row, or seventh on the season, fourth in a row for Josh Herrin. What a year this guy is putting together.
Yeah, he's having a great year. Not just seems like a lot of his experience is really coming into play in this class and just being super consistent. You know, when the guys kind of pass him early in the race, he just finds his spots and does what he has to do and just puts those consistent laps in. The other guys behind him can do the lap times. They're just not consistent.
They can't string them together for a stretch.
No, they're either really good in the beginning and they struggle late, or vice versa. So, you know, if everybody else can kind of figure out how to do those laps consistently for the whole race, I think he'll, you know, they'll get there. But it's good for these other guys to learn from him, these young kids, because they get to see what a guy like him does.
And speaking of which, how about Rocco Landers? We'd been talking all weekend. I know you guys have been addressing it all season. His late race pace versus his early race struggles. And he almost kind of reversed it today. We saw great pace in the early going from him. Got a mega start. Was right up in there. Made a couple of mistakes. Still ends up on the podium. But maybe this could be a turnaround day for Rocco.
Yeah, he looks a little upset about something. He did. He got a great start. We thought, man, that's what we've been waiting for. And he had that one mistake, and then also just kind of fell back a little bit after the first 3 or 4 laps. And then, you know, toward the end, he was really strong again. But, you know, when Rocco gets it, he's going to win some races, and he's working really hard. I mean, look at him. He's third. He's not happy. You know, and I think he's just going to continue to grind it out. And when he does figure out how to do the whole race consistently, we know he's got the speed.
Well, he's certainly got the energy and the conviction too. He is wound up right now, still on the podium. Tyler Scott had that bobble coming up through turn 6, dropped him back, lost touch with Herrin, got him to the back of that queue, and that was kind of game over for him.
Yeah, it was. You know, he kind of got shuffled back there, struggled a little bit those couple laps, and then once he got himself up into second again, he does a 26.9, which is almost 0.6 quicker than anybody else's best lap. So him getting shuffled back there early, I think they just kind of showed a little bit of his inexperience, letting those guys kind of rough him up a little bit, and he'll learn from that. And he was patient when he came through. He was pressured toward the end, and he didn't make any mistakes and ended up second again.
And a solid run. And then Kevin Olmedo, good and fast early, slipped back a little bit, was outside of that top 5. Fought his way back up to take a 4th spot with Cody Ventura, ending up in the top 5. And great run by all. And with that, let's get set and ready to send it back over to Greg White, Jason Pridmore, and the coverage on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, that's what it looks like in the morning for the past 3 days. You show up at, well, Jason, I show up at 7 a.m. and there was tons of fog, and then it burns off nicely, and perfect Central California sunshine as the sun shines off the chrome on that bodywork. There's Paolo Ciabatti, main man for Ducati Corsa. You can see him at all the MotoGP races, and of course they're off for summer break, so he gets on an airplane. He's not taking a vacation. He's coming here to watch his guy, Josh Herrin, throw a beating on the rest of this Supersport field, this time by 2.6 seconds over Ty Scott, Rocco Landers, Almeida, Ventura. Alex Thermiotis, good run for him in 6th. Kolstedt in 7th. On back to Carl Soltise. I believe Carl had a bit of a 5-second jump start penalty at the beginning, so good for Soltise to finish in 9th place. Benjamin Smith, according to our scoring, he was able to pick it up and get himself 6 valuable points in this championship, Jay.
Yeah, and that's good for Ben that he's able to get up. He's going to be disappointed, though. I know that for sure, and see everybody else on down through the field there.
Let's get right down to Hannah, who has our winner.
Another victory for Josh Herrin. And Josh, when we spoke earlier today, you thought maybe the race would be kind of similar to yesterday's race, but it went much different than that. What do you think it was that gave you the advantage today?
It was just a tight battle there at the beginning. It gets me motivated, it got me fired up, and when I got a chance to put my head down and nobody was coming back by me, I just put my head down and started grinding, and lap timer quit working, which I usually rely on, but I think today it might have helped me because I wasn't so focused on it. I just got to thank my entire HSBK Racing Ducati New York team. huge shout out to Medallia for title sponsor this weekend. I think we might have to keep this chrome bike around. It's good luck. That and the Kenny Roberts helmet. Huge shout out to Ducati. They got a big trailer over here, so make sure you guys go check out some bikes this weekend. They're good bikes to wheelie, that's for sure. I had a lot of fun today, and just looking forward to going to the next race. Huge shout out to all my sponsors, Rye Helmets, OnlyFans. Big shout out to Fresh and Lean, Alpine Stars, The Grime at Black Claw, everybody for helping out. Just thank you to everybody for coming out and making this event so awesome.
You have a pretty comfortable lead heading into these next rounds. Is there anything that you'd really like to improve on or work on as you head into these next couple of races?
Man, every weekend's a different situation, right? These guys were riding really hard this weekend. Just seemed like the middle to the end of the race we were able to make a gap. So I'm sure they're going to come back stronger. I'm just focused on having fun. Like I said, that's all I care about is having fun this year. And this Ducati V2 is really allowing me to do that, and the entire HSBK racing team. Thank you to the Naples family for letting me be me and just having fun out there.
Thanks, Josh. Guys.
And Jason, the thing is, 81 points. It's going to grow to 81 points in this championship.
Yeah.
And so Josh can be himself all he wants.
All he wants. He can be wheeling in the races right now if he wants to. So, the thing is you heard him talk about his lap timer out. That's where you can rely on your pit board a little bit. You can kind of see what's going on. So, congrats to Josh on a big win. Gets to get back down to Hannah.
Second place today goes to Tyler Scott. Tyler, a mistake early on left you kind of on the back foot, and you had to play catch up. Where were you able to find some time?
Yeah, the Vision Wheel M4 Suzuki worked great in the first part of the race, and I got bobbled up with Josh in the beginning and got shuffled back, and I had to get my pace back. But in the end, I was trying to hold on to second, and we were having a little bit of grip problems.
Are there any tracks on our calendar that remain that you're looking forward to that you think will really suit your Suzuki and suit your riding?
Yeah, we're improving every round, my riding and the bike setup, so I definitely think that we'll be on the podium a lot more and hopefully some wins.
Thanks, Tyler. Congrats.
Yeah, wins are right there. There's no question about Ty Scott's ability. I think, Jason, we take it for granted that this is a brand new motorcycle in terms of the configuration of it here in Supersport. He's a rookie in the class, 16 years old.
I mean, you got to take all that into consideration. I think for Ty, when you look, he did do a 26.9. He did do the fastest lap of the race. It just wasn't there as consistently as we would like.
Let's get right down to Hannah with our third place finisher.
A very strong start to the race and the second podium of the weekend for Rocco Landers in third. But Rocco, you seem kind of frustrated. What's going on?
It's a zoo out there. Can't as much else to say. Cutoff time's super high, and we caught a ton of traffic. A bit of a mistake there in the mid-race. Kind of lost sight of Josh. I caught a false neutral the last turn, but fell back a little bit, and I was catching Tyler, kept getting caught on traffic. None of them are paying attention. They need to watch for blue flags, guys. But last lap there, it was I was looking at making a move, but there was the one guy on the inside. Nothing much else to say. My team worked super hard. We made a gamble on the tire and worked out, especially in the beginning, and I'm actually really happy with most of the race. But yeah, they rode awesome. Can't give it up. Can't give enough thanks to Josh Hayes for all the help he's given me, and he's partly responsible for the gamble on the tire, and it worked out really well. Can't thank him enough. He's worked so hard for us. Yamaha, Tom Halverson, they've helped us so much. Friend of ours, Lou's, helped us out a lot as well.
Speaking of Josh Hayes, as you look ahead to the next few rounds, is there anything specific that you'd like to talk with him about that you'd like to work on?
Early race today was good, but we're going to work on focusing more on that.
Thanks, Rocco.
Yeah, and that really makes a lot of sense, actually, because it paid dividends, but it's like, how do we get it even better? Yeah. Because now Rocco's learning how to go fast at the beginning of the race as well.
Well, I talked to Josh yesterday. We had a pretty fun conversation, making each other laugh, and he's like, I got to get him to try this other tire and get him up to speed and get him to make it work. As you can see, Rennie Skaysbrook there interviewing Josh Herron. But yeah, Josh Hayes, I mean, look, you got to listen to what that guy's going to tell you, and you got to trust him a little bit. And maybe, as disappointed as Rocco is, he's going to be able to take this onto Brainerd and hopefully take that beginning race pace and transfer it.
All right, front wheel in the air for the victor, Josh Herron, as our coverage continues after this from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Look at the podium as it's unfolding here. Rocco Landers with that great run to third. Frustrated though he was, but boy, he showed some early speed. That's got to be absolutely motivating for he and that team. Tyler Scott sitting there with that great run to second. That fast lap that he had was by, what, 0.6 of a second over the next fastest time. That was wicked quick. And then, of course, Josh Herrin. And the margin of victory says 2.6 seconds. Well, that last lap, he ran a nice, easy 1:29. It was a lot closer than that.
The American Motorcyclist Association sanctions MotoAmerica Professional Road Racing, the home of the AMA Superbike Championship. We also sanction more than 100 amateur road racing events across the country, offering member discounts on lodging and gear and AMA member-exclusive roadside assistance options for emergencies. The AMA also supports your right to race. Backing the RPM Act, join today at AmericanMotorcyclist.com or call 1-800-AMA-JOIN.
The Cardo system for us means efficiency. When they're out there doing their laps, you can tell them what they need to work on while they're actually in the moto. We're working hard to hopefully implement it to where the guys can use it in racing. From a safety standpoint, it would be fantastic. I think it's the way to go. I think it's the way of the future, and I think it's going to be very successful.
It's amazing. He's talking about motorcycle insurance, and people love it. Of course, they love the savings they're going to get with Geico, but it goes beyond that.
You deserve to save.
Heard that before.
You deserve to save.
I know.
I need you to hear me. You deserve to save.
I deserve to save.
I mean, he has a way of making you feel seen.
Bundle car and motorcycle insurance and save at geico.com.
Lots yet to unfold here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, but we are going to be wrapping things up here for this marvelous race in Supersport, where Josh Herrin putting together a tremendous run, getting his 4th in a row, 7th on the season.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
It's why everyone is here. They want to stand on the top step of the podium. And for Josh Herrin, he's done it 4 times in a row. Congratulating his fellow racers. Let's get down to Hannah, who's got another great story for us. Hannah?
Greg, it was a fantastic weekend here for Corey Ventura. Not only did he get his first Twins Cup victory, he's racing double duty in Supersport, and you're in the fight for a podium on a bike that you had never ridden until this weekend. Take us through how you got here.
You know, I got the call, I want to say maybe last Friday, and everything was all coming together on Monday. Man, and I was like, I got to do this. I got to give this a shot. And, you know, J.U. called my dad, and he was like, all right, we got to do this. So been training hard for this moment for a long time, and slowly went to work on the bike. FP1 was a little rough, trying to change between the Twins Cup bike and this bike, but slowly we have evolved over the weekend, and today we ran up front for a couple laps, but we're still learning. I need one more day tomorrow. Can we do race 3 tomorrow?
Well, speaking of which, is there potential for you to potentially join the Supersport class in the future? Is this something that you're interested in doing?
I would love to come back into Supersport. Right now I got my hands full with the Twins. That class is so underrated, and it's stacked. I mean, those guys are awesome riders. I think we all need to kind of make the jump into Supersport. But, you know, wherever I can find a ride is where I'm going to be.
Maybe you can convince Melissa Paris to build you a Supersport bike too.
I'm going to try my best. You know, she wants to jump back in that too. I know Josh has been playing around on one, and I would love that.
Thanks, Corey. Congrats.
And we know what's going to do that for that program. Somebody just needs to bring a couple $100,000 to MP13 Racing. No big deal. Put Corey Ventura back on the bike. He deserves it. He's really, really fast. And Jay, you know, back in the day when you raced, almost all the Superbike riders would race Supersport and Superbike. So you understand how difficult it is to go from two completely different motorcycles, you know, week in and week out.
Yeah, it was just second nature to us back in the day. You know, we don't see too many people riding two classes nowadays. And for Corey to get that opportunity this weekend, and he is dead right, by the way. The Twins Cup class is axe grinder class. Those guys are out there just hammering each other. The race yesterday was incredible. For him to get that first win yesterday and then be able to back it up with a good solid fourth today in Supersport. And yeah, like he said, one more day would do him good on that bike.
Oh, by the way, there's a MotoAmerica Live Plus app. You can go to MotoAmerica.com and check that out because you can buy that and see all that great racing and all of the practices and the qualifiers, including this. Race 2 highlights, JP.
Here we go. Again, Ty Scott leads, but Herron wasn't going to let him tip into turn 2 without letting him know he was there. Corey Ventura, as he said, ran up front. You can see him there on that second Vision Wheel bike, and he would move up into second place here as Ty Scott makes a small mistake. He would take a shot at the lead, Greg, but he would run a little bit wide. And you can see Luke Power, unfortunately, the Australian going down. It's a big battle for second, and these guys were throwing shots at Herron, like Herron was saying as well. Rocco Landers was the mainstay at the front. Had a few mistakes along the way. Ran wide in turn 11, as you're going to see maybe in our highlight package here, and that cost him. Herron went back through here on this particular lap when he was able to get by Rocco. These two guys came together. You can see that clutch lever guard there on Ben Smith's bike gets rocked pretty badly. Rocco was making a run at Ty Scott late in this race. This man up front was just sailing along. He's going to do a big stand-up wheelie for us as he comes to the line. Battle for second. Wood goes to the line. There was obviously some backmarker action on the last lap that maybe impeded Rocco a little bit, but he'll be able to take some positives from this race as well.
Josh Herron, one of the best at those stand-up wheelies without question. Let's take a look at the standings now, Jay, because our focus isn't so much on Herron with an 81-point lead. I think it's a lot now on Ty Scott, Rocco Landers, and where they are in this battle. So for Ty Scott, he was able to get a bit of an advantage over Rocco, a couple extra points in this one. So Josh Herron continues to dominate Supersport this year in his bid to win his first Supersport title in MotoAmerica competition. Well, that'll do it for us for Supersport race number 2. We look forward to seeing you at the next round from Brainerd International Raceway up Brainerd Way, July 22nd through the 31st. We'll have 2 Supersport races for you then. Can Josh Herron continue to pad his lead? Well, for Hannah, Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.